Thank you, Mr. President. Now, yesterday morning, we learned that two members of the Trump campaign, Mr. Manafort, his one-time campaign chairman, and Mr. Gates, a close associate of Manafort's, were indicted on a dozen charges as part of Special Counsel Mueller's investigation, including money laundering, a conspiracy to commit fraud, and a conspiracy against the United States. The fact that the activity in question took place partially before the Trump campaign offered Mr. Manafort the role of chairman in no way diminishes the gravity of the situation. If anything, it suggests that the Trump campaign was negligent in hiring as its chairman a man who was an unregistered foreign agent working for a pro-Russian proxy party in Ukraine. That man is now alleged to have been laundering large sums of money and concealing his identity as a foreign agent to the FBI and Department of Justice, including during his time during the Trump campaign. And imagine having such poor vetting and poor judgment to hire such a person as your campaign manager. We also learned that a Trump campaign advisor met with a Kremlin contact to discuss dirt they possessed on Secretary Clinton and had several email exchanges with other Trump officials about his outreach to the Russians. This disclosure should put an end to the idea that there is no communication or possible connection between the Trump campaign and Russia. It is not fake news, Mr. President. It is not fake news. There was a connection between the Trump campaign and Russia. Who was involved and how much and what happened is yet to be determined. But there was a connection, even though the president has denied that connection for months. The president can assert whatever he wants on Twitter, but the facts are the facts. There were official members of the Trump campaign who were receptive to working with a hostile foreign power to attain damaging information about their political opponent. These revelations should concern every member of this body, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Liberal, Moderate, Conservative. I understand the strength of the centrifugal forces in our politics that warp everything into a partisan battle between two sides. There are two sides to every argument, but no one is above the law, no matter what side of the argument you're on. Rule of law and American democracy are indisputable as our bedrock. We cannot abandon it for political expediency. Special Counsel Mueller, who served both Republican and Democratic administrations, a lifetime public servant, a man of unimpeachable integrity, was appointed by President Trump's Deputy Attorney General. Mr. Mueller was a career prosecutor and as straight a shooter as they come. He must be allowed to finish the work he started without any interference. President Trump, if he had nothing to fear, like he claims, would encourage Special Mueller to follow every lead and pledge his full cooperation. Instead, President Trump is again trying to divert our attention by making spurious allegations and trying to knock down anyone or anything in his way, playing right into the partisan two-sides instincts of Washington. But, Mr. President, this goes beyond partisanship. It goes right to the rule of law. The president has this tendency to call anyone who disagrees with him, anyone who has facts that he doesn't like, a liar, dishonest, this, that, or the other thing. That has demeaned and degraded our presidency and even our country. But there are places where it must stop, and it should stop at the rule of law. And I say that to President Trump, who may never listen, but I say that to my Republican colleagues here in this chamber. The founders of the Republic put at the center of our civic life no religion, dogma, or sovereign, but rather the rule of law. It's what separated the American experiment from the hereditary monarchies of the era and outdated ideas like the divine rights of kings. The rule of law holds in check our people, including our president. Donald Trump is president, not king. He cannot decree things to go away, that facts are not facts. He is as subject as anyone else to the rule of law. That's what makes our democracy so grand. No one is above rule of law's protection. No one is below rule of law's protection. No one is above its reproach, including the President of the United States. It safeguards our democracy from the usurpations of demagogues and would-be dictators. It's why this noble experiment, the American experiment, continues. And Donald Trump is shaking the foundation of that when he tries to get out from Special Counsel Mueller's due process. What Special Counsel Mueller represents is the rule of law at work in the 21st century democracy, intentionally and spuriously impugning his integrity or smearing his efforts as partisan is not only inaccurate, is not only false, is not only fake, but it's damaging to a core ideal in our country, the independent, impartial rule of law that no man, even the President of the United States, even Donald Trump, think what he may, is above the rule of law. Special Counsel Mueller's investigation must be allowed to proceed unimpeded. And my friends on the other side of the aisle must help dispel the notion that his investigation is in any way partisan. To their great credit, many of my colleagues have done just that in the last 24 hours, and I salute them. The American people must have faith that when the very foundations of our democracy are shaken by a hostile foreign power, our independent judicial system, built on the rule of law, will not be degraded by partisan politics. We must loudly reject the forces and actors who will try to make it so, on both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. And our leaders, our Republican leader in the House and Senate, have an obligation to tell Donald Trump to lay off the Mueller investigation and let it proceed where it goes. That's what our democracy is all about, and that's what leadership is all about.